Hi, JJ here with The Other Value. OpenAI's new ChatGPT chatbot has been getting a lot of attention since it was released online recently. I think this kind of AI is going to change the world, change the way we live, and this is a clear sign of the beginning of it. But does this chatbot or other chatbots like it represent a threat to Google search, a Google killer, if you will? Google's had dominance over search over 2 decades. Is this coming to an end because of developments like this? Online search has been an area that's been absolutely dominated by Google. It represents over 90% of the search market and still over 60% of Alphabet's revenue. So it's a clear monopoly, more than 90% of search. Is OpenAI's new chatbot capable of killing Google's core business, or does Google have some advantages where it can keep ahead, stay up with the new developments, or be better than them? This is the subject of this episode today, so let's get into it. I'm not an Alphabet shareholder, but I am very interested in AI and new developments, so I'm wanting to think these things through. ChatGPT is a new natural language model that uses AI to produce human-like text. You give it a prompt, a question, and it gives you feedback and answer just in seconds. It's pretty amazing. What can it do? Well, I think you should try it if you haven't already to see what it can do. It can do all sorts of things. It can write emails for you. It can write short essays. It can do homework projects. I tested that on my son's homework and it did it in seconds, a 500-word project on a particular subject. It can write scripts. It can do all of these natural language things in seconds. Been trained on a lot of sources on the internet up to 2021. It can take everything that it knows and give a response based on that. It can write code I understand from developers. It's good at that. It can't do very complex whole applications, but it can help developers perhaps speed up the process, write certain things along the way. As an example, it can write blog posts, and I've got it to do this. I've given it quite difficult subjects to write and compare things, and it has done a good job, good enough to publish, which I have. As long as you don't pretend that it's written by a human, that you say that it's written by AI, I think that's fine. Will people accept this? Will people accept things being written by AI in the future? Are they doing that now? It's certainly good enough to be human-like text. So in terms of a comparison with Google search, it is different, but if you ask it a question, it won't come back with links like Google does, where you have to sift through, maybe this is the best one, maybe that's the best one. Definitely on the first page is where you might find it. But with this, it gives you a concise answer in natural language written, and it's often a very good answer. And you can retry to get a different answer, but you don't get links is the point. You get actual text and answer, which can speed up the process of looking. Even though it has high confidence in its answers, it doesn't always give you the right answers. Often you can tell that it's kind of lying to you or being incorrect. But a new model, GPT-4, is coming out very soon, which is meant to be a lot better. So it's going to be very interesting to see how much better that is, because this is pretty good. Most of the time, it gives you accurate answers. It gives you exactly what you want, or good recommendations for things that you might put into Google and have to sift through those links. So the upshot is that sometimes, quite often, it's better than Google for certain tasks, which I haven't seen anything before like that. It's pretty amazing. So I think this is going to change our day-to-day experience. It's true that it's had a high uptake, a fast uptake, more than 1 million users in under a week, apparently. So that's as fast as anything I've seen, faster than Facebook, faster than Instagram, faster than any of those things. So are people going to use this? What I found is that I have actually put it on my home screen. I put a link to it. It's not an app, but I've put a link to it on the home screen of my phone. And I find during my daily process, when I go to Google something, I think, would ChatGPT, would the chatbot do a better job of this? And if I think yes, if I want a natural language model answer, I might use it instead. So if I'm doing that, I think there'll be a lot of people out there doing the same thing, and a lot of people don't know about it yet. So I think this could possibly have a fast uptake. Not necessarily this version, but if people get used to using these things, form habits, I think this could take off. So could this technology disrupt important parts of Google? This is only a $20 billion value company, which is quite high for a valuation considering where it is at the moment, but it shows the importance of what people think of it already. So that's small compared to Google. Can it disrupt Google? Does it have the power to do that with this amazing new technology? And it is amazing. I haven't seen anything like this since I first started using Google, and I was blown away by how fast it was and the answers I got way back when it started. It's also like the first iPhone when I first used that. When something seems indistinguishable from magic, then we really have something there. And I do think that this is like this. This could also be like when PCs first started, when Bill Gates said he wanted a PC on every desk. And people thought that was crazy, that would never happen, but it happened pretty quickly. And then with the internet, it exploded in popularity, the internet itself, and people said that was a fad, it might not work. But this is something clearly people are kind of used to seeing new technologies and being blown away by them. We've had Google, we've had iPhones, we've had electric cars, the Teslas. And so this is the next thing that I think it probably will be really hyped, but I think it probably deserves the hype. Maybe it'll get overhyped like everything else and there'll be a bubble in this kind of thing, overinvestment. But I think this is truly something that is transformational. And wouldn't you know it, Microsoft is very interested in OpenAI in particular, very aware of it. In fact, they've invested over $1 billion and I understand it, and they want to invest more. Imagine if Microsoft could roll this out to every PC. First as a free service, maybe as a subscription, I don't know, but that would be a huge uptake and that could disrupt Google. So thinking that through a little bit, we could end up with an intensely competitive search industry here with this new technology, not with traditional search, funny to say traditional search, but with this AI kind of search, AI-driven search. There could be a new competition between the likes of Microsoft and Google and others too. It could go that way, it might not go that way. It could be that it's a new thing standalone. We just don't know that yet. But it's highly likely that these big players like Microsoft will try and get into it. And they're already invested in OpenAI. So it's a definite probability. If you're watching on YouTube and enjoying this episode, getting value out of it, please consider hitting that like button. That would really help us out. Thanks. So let's just assume for a minute that it could disrupt Google. It could have that power to do that. Who's to say that Google won't launch something similar? They must be thinking about it now that they've seen OpenAI's GPT really take off as it has, and they've got DeepMind and they've got some massive engineering talent there, and they have been fighting over AI talent for years, which has been, unless you've been following AI, you wouldn't know that there's been a kind of a fight on for the best talent in AI engineering. And so we've got these companies, all these companies are capable of producing something similar. So it wouldn't surprise me if some competition developed. We can't just assume that OpenAI will be the winner and it's just going to go ahead and compete with Google and overtake Google. Google could come up with something. I would not be surprised if they launch their own product that's very good as well. So we'll have to see what happens. And Google could integrate it with a Google search. It could even be on the same page. Could just do one or the other. But is it going to cannibalize what they're doing? Google makes so much money off search already. There's no business model for this yet. I know OpenAI has subscription services where you pay for the data for its other services. So it wouldn't surprise me if this developed as a subscription model, and it's something so powerful that I would certainly consider paying monthly for it. We don't know the cost, and I'm sure they're thinking about it, but at the moment it's free, so definitely try it because it's free. But over time you could see this being a subscription service. It's just so useful if you think you're paying for Netflix, paying for Spotify and things like that as entertainment. This is something that's useful for work, and it speeds up certain types of work. I would think that anything that's tech related, somebody in a tech support job, for instance, it might speed up their job by getting answers. I've already heard people in tech support say that. So everybody working in different industries might be starting to say, how could this help me? How could this help me in my job? Could it speed it up? Could it make it easier? Rather than replacing a job, could it speed things up? In terms of Google copying this, just the way that Facebook or Meta and other companies have copied new startups, new things that are possibly disrupted. So like Facebook bought Instagram, for instance. They've been doing things similar to Snap. One thing that could hold Google back is the fact that they're a monopoly in search. They're making so much money from search, from the links, and they've got an ad-based model. I don't think this can be an ad-based model. It's possible if you're searching for something, say in travel, you could get an answer from the chatbot and it could have ads in there, but it could be a subscription model, which is a different model. And so would Google benefit from it? They might think that they're cannibalizing their own service. They might have to. They might have no choice when they see it taking off like it has, that they've got to get in there and integrate it somehow and come up with a business model that's as good as what they have for search. Will OpenAI do that? It remains to be seen. All of these are just open questions at the moment. So this could be an advertising model. It could be, if they make that work, could be subscription based, could be something else. I don't know what, but it could be. But it seems likely that this could be a subscription that people would want to pay for. So Google could do that, OpenAI could do that, Microsoft could do that. As I mentioned, it could be free. Microsoft could release it as free. A big company could release it as a free product just to get people in their ecosystem, get them trapped, could say trapped in there, but just it's such a good service that they want to keep. Microsoft's already got a whole ecosystem of products that people want to use. Switching costs are high, and Apple too could do that. When Siri came out, people thought that Siri could be this, but it's clear that it's not yet, unless Siri improved to the point where it could do this. A lot of people are already using Siri. I don't use it very much because it's actually not, I don't find it to be very useful, but if Siri could do this, that would be incredibly useful. So I'm sure Apple is thinking about this. I don't know if they're working on something like this or not. Microsoft seems to be the company that's in with OpenAI, and Google, I think, is working on something. Will Apple come out with something? It all remains to be seen. Amazon, of course, with Alexa, which I understand is losing money. Saw the headlines of that recently, that Alexa has been losing money for the company. But is it worth keeping it on? Is it worth trying to make this model? Or is it worth trying to make a natural language model like this that is actually really powerful and useful? That could be something for Amazon as well. So there's a lot of ground to cover here. But in terms of being a Google killer, we just don't know. But watch this space. If there's anything that you do, I think watch this space. I'm very interested to see what happens and use this thing. I think try it out and you'll see how amazing it is. I'll be interested to see myself if I form a habit, if I start using this more than Google. So far I am using it every day, partly because I'm interested in it, but once you start using it, you start to realize you've got a question about anything that pops into your head. Could I ask the chatbot this? So it can't answer questions that are really relevant to today, what's happening today, current events. It's not grabbing things live from the internet and giving you the answer. So that's an advantage with Google search at the moment. Google search is crawling the internet all the time for the most relevant, the most up-to-date. This chatbot has been trained on basically it's last year's news, so you can't have real-time things, but I'm sure that'll come in time where the models are updated in real time and also personalized. So it'll get to know you, get to know what you like, and it'll feel like it is kind of your personal assistant. I think that's all coming. So we're early days, but again, I think watch this space. It's exciting times. So what do you think? Is this a Google killer? Is this potential to be a killer or attack some of Google's core business? Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with that? So if you got value out of this episode, please consider subscribing on YouTube if you're watching there, or if you're in your favorite podcast app, subscribe or follow, whatever allows you to do. And I'll see you next time.